This is an SOS from the Trinidad. Location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, Mayday, Mayday, up. The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea. With an captain named Eric Williams. For years, it's old and free. But sadly, Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit water and day someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. The blood crawled, things started to fall. Hold me hand when I said I fall. When they tell me, Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes. We get some almost empty, no electricity. We all pressure in the low. Shall we abandon that ship? Or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know. We don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Oh yeah. Oh my. You know, boy. The Trinidad, oh, she was a beauty, with words that few surpassed. In her day, she sailed majestically. There were few in her class. Faithfully, she fulfilled her sailor's need. Some were overpowered by greed, so they built and slow. Some took bike bulk and go. Oh, she looked dull, she's like a lull. She could barely sit on her heart. What a time! The ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we get that pollution, we know electricity. We all pressure in the flow. Shall we abandon that ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Oh, oh, oh yeah. The Trinidad, in her day of sailing, she was a friend, a true friend to one and all. She never once ever hesitated to answer all SOS calls. And yes, so she always did her best to help all those in the stress. Now it's so sad to see she's in difficulty. Though she can cheer, some of them cheer, and sarcastically declare, when I tell me, she was sick. What I say? Oh yeah, we got that almost empty, no electricity. We all pressure in the low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and very slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell us what to do. Oh, oh, now there's a lot of fingers pointing. Suspicion keeps running strong. Who's to be blamed for all her failures? Who should we blame for doing her wrong? Now please remember I warning you, from your key as she had said through, who had the keys to your vault. We know who's at fault. It's up to you and up to me to make our way to the back. She's sinking slowly. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are up. Oh yes, we got that almost empty, no electricity. We all pressure in the low. Shall we abandon the ship, or shall we stay on it? And let's do it. I don't know, I don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. I don't know, I don't know. You tell me what to do. I don't know, I don't know. You tell me what to do. I don't know, I don't know. Listen here. Take it down. Yeah. to a friend of mine. Anytime we all meet on any street, I want you to take this message to Keith. Tell him I'm very sure he get a mandate like never before. But tell me what's next. Don't get the people vexed. Out of the way. I say, otherwise you will have to pay when they say, Captain, the ship is sinking. If they tell him, Captain, the seas are wrong. We get some almost every no electricity. With all pressure really low. Shall we abandon ship? Or shall we stand it? I'm very slow. We don't know.
Oh, yes. I'm glad to be Guyanese. I'm glad to be West Indian. The greatest music in the world, Calypso music. The greatest music in the world. Winston Peters the Gypsy, and 1986. Classic. 1986, of course, was that election in Trinidad and Tobago when the PNM, having been in power for 30 years, lost 33-3 to the NAR, the National Alliance for Reconstruction. And Gypsy sang this song before the election. Many people blame. Captain, the ship is sinking. The captain is in Dubai. The captain abandoned ship. The captain abandoned ship is in Dubai. The gas tank running low. Captain, you tell me what to do? The captain in Dubai. The captain is in Dubai. Good evening to you wonderful people. Vibert White, my brother from the East Bank of Demerara Grove. Welcome to all of you. When the history of our time, this time, is written, they will have to say we were correct. You all have been here for the last 3 years, 3.5 years. And you all have been witnessing, keeping vigil, watching them with an eagle eye. Nobody will have to tell you all what happened. You all were participants. Captain, the ship is sinking. And where is the captain? In Dubai. If Venezuela come over the border tonight, where is the captain? In Dubai. We told you so. Some people say, just forget about the 2020 election, let's move on. Well, of course, whether we like it or not, we have to move on. Time moves on. But politics don't work by us wishing time to operate how we want it to operate. No. Decisions have consequences. When the United States and others installed the PPP regime, not me says so. The State Department says so. When they installed the PPP regime in a disputed election, they were making a calculated decision and taking a calculated risk. An installed regime lacks legitimacy, will always lack legitimacy. Half of the population is saying and has been saying, we do not want this government to govern us. So here we are. 3 years later, Venezuela kicking at our door. And what do we have? An illegitimate government with an illegitimate captain. No installed regime can adequately defend the country when it's at war. The PPP has arrogated unto itself the sole responsibility for defending us against Venezuelan aggression. Opposition, we don't want you. Civil society, we don't want you. We know how to defend Guyana. Here is how we will defend Guyana against Venezuela. Run to Dubai on the eve of the Venezuelan referendum. That's how we will defend Guyana. Run to Dubai. What you reap, you sow. And what you sow, you reap. That's how old people put it. What you reap, you sow. And what you sow, you reap. What goes wrong so does come back wrong so. Good evening to all of you. Please share the link. We are here tonight and we're going to be doing it because we are going to be talking hard truths. Hard truths. The truth is never soft, never easy. And we've been talking truth here for 3 years. And we've been sounding the bell. Captain, the ship is sinking. Where's the captain? Dubai. What the other captain doing? Calling women low life. We're at war. All right. And here is how we fight in war. Got to use your low life. I am going to Dubai. Bye-bye. Some Americans come here to say, we are thing the regular. They have no power. They're not a state. And yet you treat them as if they have so much power. They come in here to take away Essequibo. And the people who are threatening to take away Essequibo, you are not confronting them. You see, my party said we should have a referendum. And a boy with a PhD said we don't know nothing about international relations, international politics. It's not our expertise and so on. You know, academic masturbation. If I was in boxing, I would have called it by another name. But I have to be decent. Listen. If we hold the referendum, it's not to affect international law and international politics. If we hold the referendum, it's a tool, it's a means by which to mobilize a people that are immobilized. That's politics. We've not been doing this for 40-odd years to nothing. Guyanese are not mobilized. And we are saying, call a referendum, use it to mobilize them. You tell me about international relations, international politics. Go to France. France wouldn't take them. You see, Venezuela is taking advantage of our situation. They know we have an illegitimate government. They know we have a government that is made up of people whose ideology is not about building the Guyanese civilization. Guyana is a place from which they take money. Guyana is a paycheck. That is the PPP's ideology. A few months ago, we played the PPP's ideological guru, one of them, Mr. Ravidev. He's telling Indians from India, come to Guyana and what? Make money. That is what Guyana is to them. It's a place to make money, not a civilization, not a place where your bones are crushed in the earth and your blood is in there and your belly hot in you and your navel string buried there and you will die for this place. No, oh no. This is a place to make money. So if Venezuela want to take 2/3, they can take 2/3. We don't care. We gonna make money from the 1/3 that left. That is the lackadaisicalness that we are seeing from these people, and we told you so. Lee Scratch Perry is the man that made Bob Marley. He's a great producer. He was a character. Say everything start from scratch. Everything called start from scratch. The old timers will know about Lee Scratch Perry. Everything start from scratch. Tell you all every night, I ain't coming here looking for votes. Votes time gonna come. We come here to talk the truth, hard truths. And the man who coined that term in our time is Mr. GHK Lall. Nice guy, mild guy, churchman. I think sometimes I scare him. But he is now number one enemy, not because he's a Marxist radical, not because he is a bleeding heart revolutionary, but because he talks hard truth. So you all have heard enough from me. Share the link. Share the link, because we are doing it here tonight. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the ship is sinking. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it? Well, the captain gone to Dubai. Good evening to you, wonderful people of Boston. Yes, we invited Mr. GHK Lall to Boston. He had a wonderful time, and you all enjoyed him, and you all asked me to invite him next year. I am going to extend that invitation. Cheryl Andrews, good evening to you. Lester Beckers, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Mr. Vibrant John. Tessa Price, good evening to you. It's good to be a Guyanese. It's good to be a West Indian. It's our civilization. Edgar Meta also talks about my bones and my flute. My bones and my flute. My bones and my flute. I wish the PPP people could be talking about their bones. Robin W., the Surinamese poet, said, I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in the sun. I can feel it. I can feel Guyana in my bones because I am Guyanese. And it's good to be a Guyanese. And we may not have guns and bombs and warships like Venezuela, but what we have are human beings who have given their blood and their sweat and their tears for a place, a space called Guyana. Mobilize them. Mobilize them. That's all we have. Professor Rex Nettleford said, all we have. We are all we have. We are all we have. Guyana is a paycheck, is a cash cow. They could care less whether Venezuela takes 7-8 or 1-8, so long as some left for them to make money. I love Ravidev. We'll always love him. Good guy, smart guy. But he invited Indians to come to Guyana, not to settle and join their brothers and sisters here who came across the Kalipani, who came on ships. He didn't invite them to come here and to make it their room. He said, come and make money, take it back to India to fight China. We love Africa. We always want to swim back to Africa. We love India. Some people went back to India and they came back. we've made this place our home. And when Dave Martins said not a blade of grass, he wasn't playing around. He wasn't playing with words. He was speaking from deep within his Guyanese belly. Not a blade of grass is more than just a slogan. It's an affirmation. It's an affirmation. It's an affirmation. Good evening, Mr. Lall. I am seeing something has gone wrong here. Let's try again. We are seeing the screen, but we are not seeing Mr. Lall. Let's try again. I know Mr. Lall is backstage. We are trying to bring him up. Good evening, Mr. Lall. I hope I've not scared him away. The screen is up. His name is up, but we are not seeing him. He might be frozen. Mr. Lall, if you're hearing me, I am not seeing you. Mr. Lall? Mr. Lall? We seem to be having some technical difficulties there, Mr. Lall. I don't know if he is hearing us. I don't know if he's hearing us. He's up there on the screen, but we're not seeing him. We're not seeing him. Seem to be some technical difficulties here. There seem to be some technical difficulties at Mr. Lall's end. Yes, sir. I'm trying to bring you up on the screen. I'm getting your screen, but I'm not seeing you. I'm hearing you on the phone. Right, I am not, your screen is up. I'm bringing you up, but I'm not seeing you or hearing you. That would be a good idea. GHK Lall, there, a little bit of difficulty. Good evening, Brad. Captain, the ship is sinking. And the captain is in Dubai. Dubai.
The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea. Without no captain, named Eric Williams. For years, it's smooth and free. But sadly, Eric Williams passed away. The ship in water that day, someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. My blood crawled, things started to fall. Hold me hand when I said I fall. When they tell me, Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we got some almost empty, no electricity. We all pressure in the low. Shall we abandon that ship, or shall we stay on it and very slow? We don't know. We don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh, oh yeah. Oh my. You go, boy.
All right.
Good. Good evening, everyone.
Oh, yes, we've gotten you now. We've gotten you now. Live and direct. I was saying that I hope I didn't scare you away. Captain, the ship is sinking. You're a Calypso man. I don't know if you know that one. Captain, the ship is sinking. The captain is in Dubai. Mr.
Well,
Lall. What's happening? Talk to me.
there's only one place. Good evening, everyone. There's only one place that the president should be in right now, and that's right here. That's right here. There's no quibbling about this. There's no discussion about this. He has to be here. COP28 can wait, or COP28 can do without him. It's already started out on the wrong foot because of some leaks to the BBC about what deals that Sultan Al-Jaber, some conversations he was having with in the run-up to the COP28. It's part of the procedure, but they were having these side conversations about business deals with Brazil and Germany and other places. So the thing has started off tainted, but our focus here is on our president, the commander-in-chief, and at this time for the commander-in-chief not to be on the boat, that's not a good thing to think about. That is sending the wrong message all over the place. I am hearing all this talk about not a blade of grass and no stone be left unturned. And you know, in the interest of keeping things on a moderate footing, as we did the last time, there is this need to stretch our arms wide and to encircle every single Guyanese, including those we may have some misgivings about, and say, let us put our heads together against this common enemy across the border. But we have to have the president here, who has made some speeches. We have to have him here in person. He's got to be here. Can't be nowhere else. So that's my short answer to your statement. The captain has to be on the boat, and he's got to be here right now until this thing shakes out, however it shakes out.
GHK Lall, here opening up by agreeing that the captain should be on the ship. But the captain has abandoned ship. The captain has abandoned ship. What message is the captain sending? The message is clear. What's happening across in Caracas is not a big deal. Well, no, it is a big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. Gabriel, you have had your tangles with the vice president. You have been a target, constant target in the last couple of months. It seems as though all of us have our turn, but you have had a long season. And you've taken your blows and you've given back blows in your own way. And you're in there talking hard truths. But even you must have been surprised when the vice president in open called Mrs. Catherine Hughes a lowlife. Now, here, he been calling you a lowlife. He been calling Rickford Burke a lowlife. He been calling a whole set of us lowlives. But there is something about our Guyana that says monkey must know its limb to climb on. There's a limit. There's a limit to which you go. You call a woman a lowlife? Gabriel, am I going crazy?
You're not. You're not. I've been told that the politics is dirty. It's been proven. I have seen and heard, with regard to myself and other people, that the vice president, our brother Bharat Jagdeo, can be dirtier than the politics, can be dirtier than the dirtiest politics that we have put out so far in this country. And he seems to relish it. He seems to feed off of it, which tells us about the caliber of the man. And it's alarming. Now, my philosophy is simple. I'm ready to pay any price and bear any blow. And do your damnness. I repeat for my audience, for our audience. Do your damnness, my brother. You don't scare me. You don't faze me. And I have that serenity of the spirit that regardless of what happens, I would have prevailed, regardless. So, when I don't listen to the vice president if I can help it, but I sometimes deal with some people and they play some clips for me and I hear him, and I'm saying, this is a former president. This is the de facto president, as some people have called him, perhaps quite accurately. And for him to go from the gutter to the sewer, then where is your limit, sir? Where is your sense of propriety and sense of decency? Where is your sense of self-respect? Forget about respect for anybody. Where is the vice president's sense of self-respect? You attack everybody who you perceive to be an enemy. And I wrote today in Demerara Waves, I don't know if you saw it. I wrote it in Demerara Waves. I said we have a man across the border, Nicolas Maduro, calling the president of Guyana insolent, as though he's talking to some boy. As though he's talking to some boy who's in the pocket of imperialists and who is this and that, and in the most disparaging language. And I haven't heard the VP railing about this and running to the defense of the president. I am a Guyanese and I'm not a PPP supporter. And I feel for the president. I feel insulted and embarrassed and humiliated. And I'm angry. I'm angry. And all those people who are saying that they are supporters and they are brothers and they are what? Where is their anger when a national leader could call this national leader insolent? Who is he talking to? A child? An imbecile? I mean, so for him, the vice president, who knows there are limits to these things, to call anybody a lowlife. I mean, look at the people he surrounds himself with. Look at his record. But I'll tell you what, I was sitting on an airplane coming back to this country, and a man said to me, he said, this is about 15 years ago, and he said, one thing you must remember, don't let nobody drag you in the gutter with them. So you can rave and rant about low life. I remember President Eisenhower in 1953-54, during the height of the Joe McCarthy hearings. Remember Senator Joe McCarthy, from where we get McCarthyism?
Wisconsin.
From Wisconsin, right. And he said, Joe McCarthy puts on his war paint, goes into his war dance, and emits his war cries. And then he goes out looking for a scalp to bring to dangle in front of his obsequious followers. I think that applies to our brother, the vice president. He goes into these war cries and war dances and war whoops and put on his war paint, and he's fighting himself. He thinks he's inflicting a reign of terror like Joe Stalin on this country, but all he's doing, I'm sorry to say, this brother is making himself look smaller and lower every time he gets into one of these tirades. I don't know what the Hugheses are going to do in reaction to that slur, that insult. I think he's gone too far. I think the vice president went too far. It's one thing to attack me or another man, but we've got this unspoken, unwritten rule that we do not attack women. We don't attack women. I don't know what you call it. Forget about the genders being equal. It's that thing that's bred into us, groomed into us, instilled in us, imbued in us, trained. You got that training for carry yourself and honor those kinds of that were inserted in you from a young age. Respect the elderly, respect women, and come what may. I don't know what Kathy Hughes, Mrs. Hughes, who I've met one time, maybe more than once, has done to incur this diatribe from Bharat Jagdeo. But even if that were so, he has a duty. We all have a duty. We have a responsibility to comport ourselves at a level that brings dignity to our women, to his party, and to our country. This man's a former president. This man is a former head of state. And when I look at him, and the few times I listen to him, I feel utterly sorry for the pathetic creature that he has become.
Creature that he has become. Dick Gregory, the late Dick Gregory, African American activist and comedian, would say, when I look at the vice president, if he were alive, he would be a sick man. That's what Dick Gregory would say about the vice president. That when he looked at him, he would think that if that man were alive, he would be a sick man. Good evening to all of you who are joining us. Good evening, Rastaman. Good evening to the bookers. I understand you all had a birthday party somewhere out there in Pennsylvania. You all didn't invite me, but it's all right. It's all right. Happy birthday, happy belated birthday, Danette Booker, my running mate. Wonderful to have you on. Auntie Brenda Rope from out there in Providence. Auntie Brenda, good evening. It's a long time since I've seen you. I haven't seen Sherry on. Sherry, and I've been asking for her. Please give her my regard. Cyril Walker, you're a trooper. I read your comments that you made to the fact-finding mission that was here, and I found them very, very, very instructive. And I want to stand with you in those submissions you made to the fact-finding mission. And we're going to be talking, Mr. Lall, in a couple of minutes about that fact-finding mission. Good evening to all of you, and thanks for the comments about the program last night with Vincent Alexander. Very frank program discussing the question of race. As you know, that question has consequences. It has consequences. The question of race and ethnicity. We are now literally at war. And the men who will have to go on the border and face Venezuela, whether they come over the border or not, are mostly of one ethnic group. And when they look and they see the way their brothers and sisters are treated, whether it's their brothers and sisters at Moko or their brothers at Golden Grove and Dartmouth, whether they look at the young lawyer who was locked up for doing her job, or the young policewoman who was spat upon, when those soldiers looked at all of those things, they must wonder. They must wonder. They must wonder. We live in an ethnically divided society, and we must be very careful about that. We must be very careful about that. Divide the wealth equitably, because now is the time when we will call on all our people, whether they are fishermen and fisherwomen or sugar workers or bauxite workers or civil servants or teachers or police or soldiers. We need all hands on deck. And if you are African Guyanese, you cannot be faulted, as we are hearing that some soldiers are asking, why should we defend the Guyana? And what the government is doing is saying, we're going to give you some house lots. Well, God damn it, you should give them house lots anyway. You don't have to wait for Venezuela to hold a referendum to give soldiers house lots. But no, that is the transactional way in which these people are governing. Because you want them to go now and face the guns, you're going to give them house lots. You should be giving them house lots every single goddamn day of the year. And that is what gets me angry about the governors of Guyana. That they feel that some people are so stupid. As Jack Joe says, they feel that they are low life. If my word means anything, African Guyanese, I know you all have questions, but this is not the time to turn your back on Guyana. This is not the time to turn your backs on Guyana. Be loyal to Guyana. When they brought us across the Middle Passage, we came to this country, we came to this space, and we helped to make it what it is today. Don't turn away from it. I know the hurt. I know the hurt. I know that if you're a soldier and they're now telling you to go face the guns, when they don't treat you right all the time, I know. But if my word means anything, stay with Guyana. Stay with Guyana. Stay with Guyana. And we're going to continue to fight for racial and ethnic equality, so that in times like these, we are not as vulnerable as we are. Venezuela knows we are vulnerable. Venezuela knows our internal politics. Venezuela knows that the soldiers who have to defend us with very little come from an aggrieved group. They know that. But if my word means anything, I'm saying to you all, African Guyanese, my word means anything, stay with Guyana. Stay with Guyana. Because somewhere deep in my inner reaches, I know that you do not believe Guyana is just a place to make money. I know that you believe Guyana is more than that. Gabriel, there was a fact-finding mission here recently from the United States of America. African Americans they, they came to Guyana. They said they heard accusations of discrimination, and they wanted to hear from Guyanese groups, Guyanese people, and the government refused to meet with them, demonized them, and basically treat them as if they have kokobe,
Low lives.
low lives. Give me your thoughts on what that says about governance in Guyana, what it says about elite political culture in Guyana, that a government could behave in that way to a group of people who are saying, look, we've come here and we want to talk to people. We want to hear whether what we are hearing is true or not. Talk to us, Gabriel.
My situation is, my reaction to that is straightforward. If you've got nothing to hide,
We seem to have a little bit of difficulty here with Mr. GHK Lall. He seemed to be some bandwidth problem there. Where he is, we we he's gonna come back. Miranda Brown is asking if Mr. Lall said low life. Yes, Miranda Brown is saying that the government treated the visiting fact-finding mission like low life.
yes,
Yes, Mr.
I
Lall.
think
Go
this
ahead.
this might be happening throughout the program. The wife just told me that it's been a little erratic on the phone.
Okay,
No,
all right.
so we're saying, if you've got nothing to hide, then there is nothing to fear. And if I'm a government, I'm a leader that says, well, we have not discriminated, and we resent that, and we take objection to that. Good, good, good. I would welcome any fact finding mission from anywhere by anybody. I don't care who is behind it, who is the source of it, who's inciting it. You come and you listen. We will have a conversation with you. We want to know, I want to know as a leader, as a government, about these allegations of racial discrimination, particularly by African Guyanese. I want to know so I can reconcile them with what I know and with what I've been standing for, and see where the gaps are, that these gaps are genuine, and then how we can address them. Instead of that, instead of that approach, which to me is reasonable and sensible and common sense, and which is also honest, we have this full court press where from the president on down, they go after these people, they don't let them settle down, and it's look at their source, look who they come from, look who's behind them. I could care less who is behind them. I want to go back in history. I want to take our listeners into the pathways of history going back. They used to burn books. You know why they used to burn books? Put them in a heap and then have a bonfire centuries ago. They burn books because they do not want wrongdoing to be exposed. When wrongdoing is present and prevalent, when untruths have taken hold, they do not want the evidence of that to come into the light. Hence, all the headwinds and all the turbulences that the fact finding mission from the United States encountered. I want to tell you folks this. You may not know this, but I have, on more than one occasion, made presentations to foreign entities, groups and subgroups that speak to racial discrimination in this country. I've been part of group people who have done that. I was willing to meet with this fact finding group. The arrangements were in place, but because they had different people and many others who I felt should go in front of me, it did not happen. The fact is, we have discrimination, racial discrimination in this country, and it needs to be addressed frontally. We cannot have one side, the government, saying, well, it doesn't exist, and to hell with you, and to deny you, and to demonize you. That solves nothing. The allegations are not going away. The allegations are not going away. And claims of racial discrimination against anybody, against, in this context now, African Guyanese, goes too much to the heart and the fabric of our political and social and racial, political, social, and racial context to be treated in the way that it has been by the PPP government from the president on down. Our political, racial, and social contexts are under severe duress. This Venezuelan situation has it at a point.
Mm-hmm.
But I am saying if we need to find out the truths about ourselves, if we want to improve, then let the people come and talk to whomever they want. I know people who have been discriminated against, black people. I know circumstances where black people have been discriminated against. It's not one. If it's one here, it's a dozen over there. And if it's a dozen there, it's another score in another place. I know some of these people. Their cries have to be heard. Suppressing their anxieties, their experiences is self-destructive. It's self-destructive because you can only keep a lid on those things for so long before something blows up. People are hurting in this country from discrimination, and it needs to be addressed, honestly. In South Africa, after the apartheid regime fell, we talked about Truth and Reconciliation Commission and so on and so forth. That country is still struggling, although it's made some strides. We here have to make a start to understand, to get a better picture of where we are in this situation. Rwanda had its genocide, and the world stood still. And they were still able, Paul Kagame, whatever he has become today, he held back his people and said, we are the victors. Let us sit down and have a conversation. This retaliatory instinct, this recriminatory necessity, hold off on that. We need to look at ourselves in the mirror and hear the echoes of discrimination of those who don't have, those who are left out. Everything for us has been about international, reaching here and reaching there. Everything. A dog passes across and barks, and we hear about, we are reaching for the international community. Good. So what happens when these Yankees come here and we say they are meddling and they are interfering? Why the double standard? Why the disconnect? Why the amnesia? Why the resistance? I go back to what I said a moment ago. If there is nothing to hide, there is nothing to fear from anybody. I don't care who sent them here. They came on their own, or they come. Give them that kind of reception that shows that I have confidence in what I have been representing publicly, internationally, and let the chips fall. But before the chips can fall, you're like slapping these people around and saying, well, you've got no place here, and we really don't want to hear, and we don't care what you found and what you have to say and report. That's that's Stalinism. That's the McCarthyism. It's a one-way conversation. Excuse me. It's a one-way conversation, and it's going to end up in a dead end, in a cul-de-sac, and that's why we get nowhere. Why should we be talking now in the context of the Venezuelan existential threat about really how and where we are? Because we have sown those seeds. When you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. Look, these are not philosophical constructs. They are based in reality. History has proven them time and again. And you burn books, you slam doors, you shut people out, you label them, you excoriate them. And at the end of the day, all we have is this silence and this blindness. But I'll tell you, and many of you know this, the Soviets had their archipelagos, and they put people like Solzhenitsyn and what's the other fellow named Sakharov on them, and
Yes.
still the truth filtered out, and still the real stories came into the public domain, and the world said, well, buddy, it was not as you were saying, Mr. Prime Minister or Mr. Chairman or whomever. This is the real deal. And you know, by that time, we've lost many years and decades. And this is what we have lost when these people came here. We should have reached to them, welcomed them. If I'm the government, I do that. You go and dig. I'm waiting here to see what you come up with. And we'll go from there.
We go from there. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to all of you. Some of you are joining us from Chicago, the Windy City. A good evening to you, Miss Yvonne Jackson. And I put this, Gabriel, I put this up because I encounter this every day. I get more of it privately than people express publicly. But this is where generally this government has driven people, in particular African Guyanese. And you know, they blame people like myself, and I guess you too, of instigating people. But I don't think this person and the sentiments expressed here has been instigated by me or you or anybody. And I can tell you, and you, I'm sure you know this is commonplace among, and sometimes they turn on us as African Guyanese leaders and opinion shapers because they think, as they say, we talk too much. But this is how our people are feeling. And this government seems not to care that half of the population feels this way. And I don't, anyhow. Any comment, Gabriel?
Well, listen, some people are comfortable turning their faces. Some people are happy making money. Some people will do anything to stay in the favor of those who hold the purse strings. I think I'm put on this earth for a different purpose. You know, about 10 years ago, well, it's a little bit more than that, and I've said this before on this program. When I left Wall Street, we all knew about the Venezuelan presence, but never figured it would have gotten to this stage.
Mm-hmm.
We knew from my grandparents and my father and his friends that oil, there's some way out there. Well, we weren't talking about the river. We weren't talking about below the sea. But here we are. But I came back before pre-oil and pre-Venezuela. Anything. And I'm comfortable with that. So this is not about patting myself on the shoulder. So if you want to talk about speaking to what is not proper, what is wrong with government and governance in this country, when the now opposition was in power, three ministers. I would like to for anybody to tell me one PPP media contributor, one supporter who said something has gone wrong and it ain't right, and therefore something must give. Not for somebody to be fired, but to come out and say, well, we've got a perfect society here. But in the meantime, we've got people who are writing on this screen and people who are not writing and people who are not listening to this program who are dragging and seeing their neighbors, excuse me, prospering whilst they are wondering what the hell has happened to them? What has bitten them? What is it that has led to their ostracism? What leprosy that they have that condemns them to the fate, to this fate in the richest country in the world? People need some sort of substance, foundation under their footing, and they are not seeing it happen.
Jeez.
Guyanese, indigenous Guyanese, and some poor Indian Guyanese, and mixed ones too, is that they don't know what it is to live in this supposedly oil rich country. I am talking to some pensioners, and I've asked them this question: has this oil made a difference to you, black and brown? And you know what they've said to me? Where the oil there? So I said, well, I'm trying to figure out what they mean. And then quickly it comes to me that it is like if oil is not here. We've got all this money and we're talking about all these statistics. And I am pretty good at that, if I may say so myself. And it is not touching significant segments of the population of this country. The report came out recently from who was it? The United Nations,
Mhm.
that our babies are underweight and our children are malnourished. These are things that we do not want to talk about here on this program, or I do not want to write about in the media, but we have an obligation to do so because it is not imaginary people and imaginary circumstances. They are real people with real circumstances and real hurts. And it should not be in a country like this where it is today. We have a leader going about calling people lowlifes. We've got a leader with so many challenges on their hands, and he can spend 5, 6 press conferences, weekly to talk about me. Who am I? What wrong have I done? In this democratic society, I am exercising the constitutional and sacred right, like any other citizen, to say, I think we can do this thing better. I am not attacking anybody. I have no joy in saying anything that is untoward about the president or the vice president or any minister. But I have a duty to truth. I have a duty to my belief system. I have a duty to the people in this country who reared me, who supported me when I have nothing, when there was no pen in my hand and no platform under my feet and no knowledge in my head. Therefore, I am paying back. And I am speaking for those whose pain I feel. I am speaking for those whose tears I am shedding for them, who don't like it. they can take it to wherever they want. I am willing, and you are willing. You have done your bit. I have started to do my bit. You come with your blows, come with your goons, come with your anonymous social media people or whatever. If that's the best you can do, then you've got to do a lot more. Because here, the will of the Father, in which I am a strong believer, the will of the Father is that some things are beyond us. I plant the seed and I move on, I leave there. I plant the seed. So now here's this. I'm looking at that Venezuelan situation, and some people have spoken about divine intervention. I'm saying, you're running amok here. You're bullying people. You're trampling upon people. And I'm looking at what Venezuela is doing to us, to our government and our leaders. And everything that is being done to this population, Venezuela is doing to this government. It is calling, it's out propagandizing it. It is running ahead of it. It is out muscling it. And I don't mean it militarily. It is out talking it. Every page that the vice president and the president and the government, the PPP government has taken, the Venezuelan leader has taken to another level. What we call in this country, Dufadona, Obi, or Nakan,
Yeah.
something like whatever it is. Those guys have taken what is being done here by this PPP government to the people of Guyana and dropped it on their head, slapped it across their faces. And I'm looking at them. And all that the Honorable Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdev can do is declare war against people like Kathy Hughes and others. Come on, man. Get a goddamn life. Grow up. Stand on your feet and be a man. Be a real one. You know why? We cannot go on like this, insulting each other, attacking each other. Let us come to our senses. It's not on this part here. It's not on this part of the equation. Let us come to our senses. I am here to help. I am here to lift up. I am here to help. I pray for the vice president every day. The president, the vice president, the opposition leader. Lord, help these leaders to do right by the people of this country, every single citizen. And we're talking about low life. We're talking about we must be united and resolve against Venezuela. How are we going to get that when we are cutting the ground from under each other's feet? When we've got all these poor people, 40%, 48%, whatever the number is, and they're saying, yes, I'm managing, but I don't know how. Yes, I'm getting by, but I'm barely, and I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Now, you are telling me that I shouldn't talk, or we shouldn't have this program, or there should be no newspaper. Oh, yes, and we've got a democratic society. That's by your definition. We are carving out the little democratic ideals that they are in it. And here's this. At the end of the day, in a country like this, we have got too many people from too many segments, especially the African Guyanese and indigenous Guyanese set, with some in the Indo-Guyanese segments, who are really, really feeling the brunt of cost of living, of being left out, of trying to keep up, not trying to keep up with Joneses, of trying to keep up with putting a simple meal on the table for their families. People are hurting. People are crying. People are on their knees. Is this what we want? Is this the kind of society that we're going to build that's going to stand up to the aggression of those who are looking to strip us of our patrimony? My brother, unless we have a sea change, unless we have a complete change in our heads about how this thing is going to work, then we've got some lessons to learn, and none of them are easy.
GHK Lall here tonight, really laying it out as he always does, the hard truths, which is sometimes very, very difficult to digest. GHK, thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming through again, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Good. Thank you. And good night, everyone. Until the next time.
Thank you very much, the GHK Lall, speaking with us tonight. And I put on the screen a lot of the sentiments that are expressed here, and I know they follow these programs, and I want them to read what you all are saying. I mean, you're asking a group of people to stand and defend a country when you treat them like dirt. You call their leaders low life. You kick them around, and then you want them to go and defend the country, and you're bribing them and telling them you'll give them house lots, and when you should be giving them house lots all the time. The chickens are coming home to roost. I want to go on record. We stand with Cathy Hughes and all women. All women. Barra Jagdeo is trying to normalize gutter politics in this country. And I said it before. He called Rickford Burke a low life, and we let it slide. And he feels now he can call anybody, including women, low lives. We got to stop it. We got to stop it. One of them, the one who ran away to Dubai, as you all remember, called me a joker and a late penny. He will never call another black boy a joker after then. I don't believe in calling names, but these chaps ice pass people. And I am not going to stand by and allow them to take the ice and pass anybody, regardless of ethnicity, race, class, but especially black people. Because black people have been brutalized too much. And I am not going to stand by and allow them to use the power that was given to them by forces that weren't thinking when they were doing it, to use that power to destroy black people. No, I ain't standing for that. I ain't standing for that. And I hear you all. I hear you all making the connection between your marginalization, your oppression, and defending Guyana. As I said, we are part of this country, African Guyanese. And I'm asking you all, despite your misgivings, don't abandon ship. The president has abandoned ship. What kind of example is he setting to his supporters? If he is leaving the battlefront and going to Dubai, what is he telling his supporters? What is he telling the 200,000 voters who voted for him? He's telling them they can abandon ship too. Well, if my word means anything, I'm saying to African Guyanese, don't abandon ship. Don't abandon ship. The ship is sinking, but don't abandon it. Let us be the better angels. Let us show the president and the PPP what it is to be committed to a civilization. Guyana, for us, is more than just a place to make money. It's a place that we have helped to civilize, that we have sacrificed so much for. Not a blade of grass is more than just a slogan for us. I'm pleading with you all. Vent your feelings. Vent about how they're treating your people. Vent about how they're treating your leaders. Opposition leaders are trying to go to schools to talk to children about Venezuela. And they're stopping them. Betsy, I agree with you. The Guyanese need a referendum now. We in the WP have called for that. We have called for that. We need a referendum to mobilize our people to say Guyana belongs to us. I am asking you all, African Guyanese, to use this opportunity to vent your feelings, to let the world know what they're doing to you all in Guyana, but not abandon ship. Stay on it. Stay on it. If they don't want us to go on their bandwagon, create our own bandwagon and defend our country. We are all we have. We are all we have. But I hope those who install this government are learning their lesson. An illegitimate government cannot defend a country against a foreign enemy. Cannot. It has no legitimacy, it has no balls. Where's the captain? He has abandoned ship and gone to Dubai. What is he telling his supporters? Abandon ship. We are saying to you all, we are not low lives. Coffee use is not a low life. And we're going to demonstrate to them that we are not low lives. I'm appealing to you all. Stand with Guyana in this testing hour. If it means that we are the only ones to stand and to defend our birthright, let's do it and be an example to them. I'm going to be on with Mark Benchop later on in a couple of minutes. I know you all are skipping across to Sherrod now, and then Mark and I think Mr. Caesar. I saw Wayne Caesar here earlier on this program. I'll be with them at 9 o'clock Guyana time. Yes, 9 o'clock Guyana time on Mark Benchop, and we're going to continue this conversation there. It's my, this morning I did 2 early programs, one in Antigua. I did Kadaki. I taped the program for Washington, D.C. And this is my 4th program. And Mark Benchop is going to be my 5th program for the day. We are doing our part in trying to mobilize international and national support for our cause. It is not too much to ask. It is not too much to ask. I'll see you all on Mark in a few minutes.